Now, Outback Australia is something that you've seen a lot on the telly, but you probably haven't physically been. I got the chance to go to Birdsville, far western Queensland, a couple of years ago for the Birdsville races. Now, of course, they didn't happen last year, but they will be happening this year. It was a beautiful experience to be able to go and see the horses run in the dirt, even though I'm not really a horseman, but I liked seeing something slightly different. I liked sleeping. One of the best night's sleep I've ever had was actually on the ground in a swag at the airport with planes landing. Kids were very, very young at that time, and I was making every opportunity I could to have the big Z's. Well, there is an opportunity for you to be able to go wherever you want to in the next little while, but particularly to be able to go to Broken Hill. Now, you mightn't call it the absolute outback, but it is one of those places that you have to see. And if you need a reason to go and see them, it was announced today there's going to be a new music festival. It'll be there, I think, in August. Among others, Paul Kelly, Kate Sobrano, they're all going to be there. Here's just part of the group that's going to be there in Broken Hill in August.
3 days of music, camping and fun on the iconic Monday Plains, starring the legendary Paul Kelly, along with Ian Moss, John Williamson, Tim Finn, Kate Sobrano, Glenn Shorrock, Ross Wilson.
Got enough reasons? Go and book, do that in the next little while. And of course, getting off your backside, going and seeing Australia is something that we have dedicated this program to for as long as we've been on the air. For the past 3 years, we've been doing the Our Town experience, where we've tried to show you the beautiful parts of this country that you need to go and see again. You need to help these local economies, but you need to see your own country. And today, the Prime Minister made an announcement that we first broke on this program last night, that 800,000 half-price airfare tickets are about to be handed out from the 1st of April, and it ain't an April Fool's joke.
To keep people in their jobs, we've got to put planes in the air and we've got to put tourists on the ground. The Australian tourism industry needs more tourists. They want to get on and run the businesses and welcome the tourists and provide the world-class services that they do. They don't want to stay at home. They don't want to be sitting there just receiving taxpayers' money endlessly. They want to be running their businesses. They want to be giving Australians and ultimately later to be welcoming international tourists to their businesses and giving them the greatest experience than anyone can give in tourism anywhere in the world.
The list of locations is an absolute bucket list of places that you need to see in Australia. Is it every place in Australia? No. But the map is pretty damn impressive. Now, we've already shown you the joys of the staircase to the moon in a place like Broome, the ability to go and see just the magnificent Central Australia through Alice Springs. You can go to Lassiter, Kangaroo Island, of course, in South Australia. Launceston, where we did a show in northern Tasmania, just, again, seen to be believed countryside, and there's even a casino there, if that's your particular thing. Sure, it closes at 2 a.m, but there's a casino there if you want to go and check it out. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the tourist angle is on Avalon Airport, the second one into Melbourne, but it's a way of getting people to make their way to Melbourne in particular, to rev up that CBD, which has been disgracefully left bare for a while. Again, Burnie in northern Tasmania, Davenport, Merimbula, the Goldie. The Goldie's going to have half-price airfares. Think about this, between April and for a couple of months later, half-price airfares to the freaking Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast. You can head to central Queensland and go and see Mackay. You can go and see the beautiful Whitsundays. Go to Hamilton Island. Spend a week there, and even further north in Cairns. We've done shows at 6 of these locations. Relax, Twitter, we didn't pick the locations that have now got the subsidies. But unbelievably, there are people who are bitching and complaining because this place didn't make the list or this place did make the list. Now, if your complaint about this scheme is that it's money that we don't have and we shouldn't be spending on something like this, cool. But there's plenty of reasons why local politicians and federal politicians decided to heap it on a program that, I'll be honest, in most households in Australia, there was a conversation had this morning or this afternoon, which is, hey, Dale, want to go to Broome? That's the chat that's happening around Australia, but in political circles, this was happening today.
So this is a disappointing outcome, and the numbers speak for themselves. 5 in Queensland, 3 in Tassie, 2 in the Northern Territory, just 1 in Victoria.
Today I'm calling on the federal government to provide subsidised flights from Brisbane to Cairns to help further stimulate tourism demand in far north Queensland.
The biggest problem of all, Speaker, Queenslanders are prohibited from holidaying in their own state.
I wouldn't be giving too much favouritism to Queensland after their behaviour. I mean, put the actions of the government aside, Queenslanders are Australian and those people need support.
When did we become a bunch of sooks like this? Like, honestly, think about it, okay? Now, 800,000 isn't 800,001, and it's also not 600,000. At some point you have to draw a line and there can only be a certain number of places you can go. But who has a problem with this idea? Again, I respect if your view is we shouldn't do it because we don't have the money to do it. That's cool. Very legitimate point. But we didn't get enough. Honestly, your fellow Australians, this is about seeing other parts of Australia, okay? If the Queensland government wants to subsidise flights from Brizzy, they can do it. If the New South Wales government wants to make sure that people can fly to Dubbo, they can do it. But so often the story of the economic support as a result of the pandemic is federal government pays, state government gloats because they shut everything down. Now, we know that JobKeeper had to come to an end. So the best way to replace it in places like North Queensland, in places like Northern Tasmania, was to make sure that people turn up. This helps people turn up. And then there are the go-tos for the media where they went to find people complaining about where this wasn't perfect enough. Now, cool, I get it. Some travel agents aren't entirely happy that obviously you can book all of this straight through an airline, but you can book all the other stuff you can do in Broome, Alice Springs, Launceston, Davenport, the Goldie, Sunshine Coast, or any of the other ones on the list by going to a travel agent. But while this bloke was getting free kicks pretending that it was boo-hoo in the media, guess what was happening to the Flight Centre stock price today? It was up almost 10%. It's now higher than it was 12 months ago. And as you can see, over the past 6 months, they've had plenty of downs, but they're starting to get an up. And today, it was a straight line up. And then there's the political smartassery that suggests, well, I've noticed some of these things are in marginal seats, as if somehow there's not a need for the economic stimulus in all of the places that we've just talked about. The PM addressed that today too.
I'd say it's absurd. That's ridiculous. I mean, the northern parts of Tasmania is the regional part of the state which needs that additional support. We already have lots of flights going into Hobart. We're already supporting those flights through the program that the Deputy Prime Minister has already announced. And so this is providing that additional support into those locations. And so this has been based on the advice we've received about those areas that best can use this support.
So there are some people that are willing to see this for what it is. Not everything, but something.
I think it's great to try and encourage people to get back in the air. You've got to understand that travel and tourism is a huge ecosystem. It's airlines, it's accommodation providers, it's tour operators.
It's a masterstroke by the federal government, I think, and we haven't got any internationals, so let's get Australians moving all over the country.
Any financial assistance put towards tourism and any other struggling industry is absolutely fantastic news.
It's absolutely amazing. We're really stoked up here in far north Queensland. Any business and any people that can come from all over Australia, we're open arms and we're welcoming it.
Yet again, a perfect distance between much of the media and the people who watch it, read it and listen to it. Most people in Australia, if they cared about this at all, went, how can I get in on this? Rather than, oh, it doesn't have all the places I want to go. Seriously, put the effort in. Go as far as you can to a place like Broome, a place that's been shut off for so damn long. Now, obviously, we have to make sure that all of the state premiers keep everything open for the next little while. It ain't perfect. But even when the people who claim they're being dudded by it see their share price go up by 10%, this was a good idea today. Enjoy seeing Australia. We look forward to making the most of this list and plenty more while we continue with our Towns. One coming up in a couple of weeks here on Paul Murray Live. See Australia, best country in the world.